Okay, here's a tutorial on using the EXS 24 sampler in Logic. This is the faceplate. In this tutorial, I'm not even going to be dealing with this. What we're going to deal with is the editing window, which is right here. Get there by clicking on this button. And I'm going to show you a few techniques to bring samples in and trigger them. What I have here is a track from a sample CD, Big Fish Audio. Some cool beats. There's the realized audio, and then what follows it are all the hits, loops, and all the sounds. And it's this that we're going to chop up. So let's just go through the process here. We'll just start with this drum kit. It's right there. Command click will highlight this area and then just cut out that piece of audio. I'm going to go here then into the audio tab and strip silence. We've seen this before, and this is where we can make some adjustments with the threshold and the minimum time. I always like to make sure I've got the back end of the audio file in case there's any reverb or air there that I want. And we'll trim up the front in the sampler. So I just want to go something like that and say, yeah, do it. And it just chops up the audio. Couldn't be any easier than that. Open up the EXS 24. And as I said, we're just going to use this button here, the edit button. And this is the window that you're going to now just drag from the arrange and drop. So this technique is pretty straight up. I highlighted the regions, drag them, and I get a plus sign there. I get 3 options here. Adding 6 samples. Please choose how to build the map. I'm just going to focus on this right now, the contiguous zones. That's what you want to do here when you bring in multiple samples. You want the zone width set to 1. That way it'll be mapped out across just one key. And you can start it anywhere you want. I'm just going to leave it here at C1. I'll discuss what these other ones do in a different tutorial. They do different things. So say OK. And this instrument has now 6 zones in it, starting on C1. And it's at this point now that I can go in and just tidy up these samples in the sample editor. So double clicking on this blue box here opens it up in the sample editor. And as I can see, I've got a little air in front that I just want to pull this handle and get rid of it. And that cleans that up really nice. Move to the next sample, just double click. And just tighten that up. I'm going pretty quick here, but all right, that's that. So at this point, you need to save this instrument. If you tried to close this window, it'll say, hey, you got something to save. Just go right here and say save it as. You get this dialog box. You want to leave sampler instruments here. You want to leave this folder. This is the folder that's going to be inside your Logic project folder. You'd want to just name it here, okay? Big Fish Hits, whatever. And say save. So now in this window on the sampler, you can see it. I've got Big Fish Hits. That's now inside my sample instrument. All right, so that's drum hits. Let's just do one more instrument here. Bass. Let's grab this bass. Looks like it goes right up through there. So Command is my marquee tool. And I'll just slice those into the audio tab here and strip the silence out. I want the back end for sure. The front end I'm going to take care of in the sample editor. Say, okay. Same deal. Edit button right here. Opens up, just highlight these samples, drag, and drop. You want the contiguous zones, once again, zone width 1, and I'll start it on C1, fine. And I'll just go trim them up once again. There's a sample there. I'm going to double click on the blue, opens up in the sample editor, and that one is actually looking pretty good. I'll just leave it. One more here. Thump. All right. One important thing here on these bass hits. On my drum hits, I didn't touch anything here. We'll look at some of these parameters in other videos, but drum hits, you want typically to have one shot ticked. Drums decay naturally. That's the way they sound best. For other instruments, for example, like this bass, I don't want one shot on because I want to be able to control the length of the sample and actually kind of play the sample a little bit. So I'm going to untick one shot, and I'll show you how that works then. With one shot on, when you hit a key, the sample plays its entire duration. With one shot off, you have to hold the key down for as long as you want that sample to play. So I can actually kind of play the sample. So I'm going to leave that like that. If I try to close this instrument, I'm going to get a dialog saying, hey, you've made some changes. Do you want to save it? And I haven't saved it yet, so I better save it and call it bass hits. Leave it in the sampler instrument folder. I implore you. So now, when I play keys on my keyboard, you can kind of see down here in my transport, I'm playing C1, and I can really kind of play that sample. And you can kind of get a little groove going. Perfect. So I've got bass here. I've got drums here. This track was done in 90 BPM. I know that, so I'm going to just change that right now. The samples will just lay better because they were recorded at that BPM. And I'm going to just mute and hide this track now. Mute, go to the hide, and see if I can conjure something up here. All right, and then maybe a little hi-hat. All right, quantize this to 16ths. The bass part. So a little bit of mixing here then. Back on my drums here, I'm going to go and use that multi-output option because I made it multi-output. I've got this plus sign here. And I'll piece out maybe 3 or 4. I'm going to have to go back into this sampler. And if I go in my edit mode, I can tell where to output these sounds. Here's my kick. I'll put that out on mono 11. Here's the hi-hats. Put these out on mono 12. And there's the snare. I'll put this out on mono 13. Perfect. Oh, I made changes. Yes. Back over here now in the mixer. I'm going to change these to mono tracks here, here, and here. And just click and hold and say EXS 2411. EXS 2412 and zoink now. Oh, here's my kick. Hats. Name them. All right, so that's kind of balanced them. And how about a quick little another tip here? I'm going to just bus all these out, right? Bus them out to 1, option click, and it'll send a little signal there. And then on this bus that was created, I can put some verb. Oh, I'm going fast. I'll leave it mono. Bright hall, not too much. Lots you can do. Mixing, using this multi-output, getting some compression going, but there it is.